Welcome to the Legal Briefs Network. This week we are shooting from the lovely studio here at Chorus Entertainment in downtown Toronto. I'm Joseph Newberger and this is Lauren Honickman. Hey Lauren.
Joe, how are you, man?
Good. We got to talk about that horrific case in Hamilton, the Bosma case.
Right.
But the civil litigation that's come out of it. You do civil litigation.
Yes.
There's a lot of curiosity about how that lawsuit starts, how it gets defended.
People were upset that they didn't know about it.
Yeah.
Let's start right there.
Sure.
All lawsuits, when they get filed, they're in the court, and if you,
it's a matter of public record.
It's a matter
right?
of public record. And I think what they were talking about was they didn't make a big announcement about it, but. You know what, Joe? It's one of those lawsuits. It's brought under the Family Law Act, right? It's for pain and suffering because of what happened, and it's asking for millions of dollars in damages. But here in Ontario, and we don't know what it's like in other jurisdictions around the world, but here in Ontario, things in the civil law system, they go so slow. And people are expecting, are we going to have to, go through all the evidence again? What's going to happen? It's going to take a lot of time before that case is adjudicated.
Well, we know one of the accused who's been convicted now has filed a defense.
Right.
Okay, so what does the appeal have on the civil litigation? Will the civil litigation now stop? Would it move to the next stage? Because next stage would be some sort of documentary evidence and discoveries. What will happen?
Well, it used to be. It used to be that you'd put a civil action on hold, right? It would automatically be, quote, stayed until the entire criminal proceedings have been taken care of. That doesn't happen anymore. Yeah. I mean, the courts have said, no, we can get these things moving contemporaneously, but from a reality point of view, nothing's going to happen in the civil action. They're not going to force Dylan Millard to go into a discovery while his appeal is still pending, and he's got other criminal charges pending.
Well, he's got 2 other murder cases.
Right.
But, for the family, I mean, in this case, the claim for damages, I mean, we have a loss of an income earner,
right.
a father, so there's
right.
loss of very significant issues there, and there can be financial strain that they're under. So and we know in the case of Mr. Millard, he certainly had assets, and what we understand from the reports is those assets were transferred prior to the trial, I believe, to his mother.
Right, so you've brought up a good point.
Yeah.
There's an allegation called a fraudulent conveyance.
Right.
And here in Ontario, if you do something like that, like for example, let's say that you find out that I'm going to sue you.
Well, you better not.
Which is a possibility. We'll see what happens.
We'll see how the show goes.
Yeah, we'll see how this goes. But you find out that you're going to be facing a lawsuit from Lauren Honickman, and you have a home in your name. You go, you know what? I don't know what's going to happen, but I'm going to shield myself right now. I'm going to move all my assets out, I'm going to transfer the house name to somebody else, blah, blah, blah. That could be what's called a fraudulent conveyance, because what you're doing, you're trying to make yourself judgment proof.
Right.
So there's an allegation that that's what's happened here.
But in order to protect themselves, they would have got a certificate of pending litigation or some
document,
to
put it right on the property. Yeah. That happens all the time.
But it's a shame that the family has to wait another year or two to get some compensation
it's just
for
awful.
this horrific death. I mean, could they
But wait a minute, Joe. There are others who will say, why is the family even thinking of doing this now? Like, why? People point to OJ in the United States because they said, well, look at that. That's a perfect example where he's found not guilty at trial, but they bring a wrongful death and they get some $32 million judgment. And even though they may not have got a penny of it, I don't even know what they ended up getting down there.
Yeah.
They use that as the example. I always throw out the question: do you really want to do this? You've lived this horrific nightmare. Is there any money that you lost the money earner in the home? You've lost the care and companionship that our law will compensate for. Do you really want to keep this alive? Because one of the things that you have to always keep in mind, and you tell clients this all the time, this may finally end. The civil proceeding could keep going on, and it's something that you just have to.
Maybe, but for this poor family, the mother doing this for the children's future, so that there's some pool of money available for them, so something can come of this. I think this is an important redress. I think it's a good thing that happened. I mean, it's a shame in certain other cases that there aren't assets. We have the Criminal Injuries Compensation Board,
which is
that whopping $25,000.
Right.
There's nothing there. In this case, there's legitimately something. I would hope that they could press ahead with their litigation now, even with the appeal.
So
the chance of that
so let me understand this.
Snowball's chance in hell.
Let me understand this. Putting a different hat on right now, if you were acting for a family that went through what the Bosma family went through,
Yeah.
you'd recommend them to bring a lawsuit against.
If they're suffering financially and they need some financial assistance, I would move ahead. I would move ahead. And this is a case where further justice needs to be served. And if in this he didn't testify in his criminal trial,
Right.
he was convicted. The evidence is quite overwhelming. It was a
Right.
well laid out case.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
And I'm a criminal defense lawyer, so when you and I were watching or seeing as the case unfolds, we're thinking about how it is as a criminal lawyer. But now when you step back a bit,
I don't know, Joe.
this family. They're entitled to some redress.
I understand.
In order to deal with those very real issues, the economic loss and that type of upheaval to
I
the
know,
family
I
to
know.
allow them to heal.
But you know what? Maybe this is why I'm not a multi-million-dollar lawyer. I mean, because I talk more
Well,
people.
we don't really practice this type of litigation.
No. But I get people who talk about lawsuits and wanting to bring them all the time. And you sit down with people and you say, look, sure, we can bring this lawsuit, but in the civil justice system and in this province, you better be prepared that if the other side's going to, defend to the end, we could be here for a long time, and it could be a very difficult process.
I think one thing we can agree on: this has legitimate merit, right?
Oh yeah, for sure.
So it'll be interesting to see how the civil litigation unfolds with the appeal as well.
Yeah.
And we'll talk more about it. Thank you for joining us, and we look forward to seeing you on our next edition of the Legal Briefs Network.
Beauty.